Welcome to Give Me the Mic. We're so happy to have you again today. I'm Faye Bailey Lucas, your host, and bring up my co-host, my lovely dear brother Zachary Seth Mitchell, the host.
Lord of Wisdom, Woody!
We're so happy to have you guys again. We're so excited. Our guest is amazing. You're in for a treat. But before we go on, we're going to talk about zero trust. And my brother, who is the host of What Jesus Says, he's going to tell us what Jesus said about trusting. And this we're going to move from there.
Well, it's pretty clear. The Lord is the author of zero trust, okay? So he created zero trust. And what he tells us in Psalms 118:8, he tees it off for it. He said it's better to trust in the Lord than put your confidence in man. And that's easy to do because men are fickle. One minute they're one way and the other minute they're another way. It's an old saying that says loose lips sink ships. And in the military, we say the only way that you can have secrets between two people is if one is dead. And that makes sure your word won't get out, right? Because if you got a secret between two people, that's a wrap. Essentially, some way or another, they're going to get it out. You can put cohesion, we call it social engineering. You put enough pressure on someone, they're going to crack, right? Yeah, Zach did it. Faye did it. Oh, my God. And they call those people snitches, right? And snitches wear stitches, man. So what we're gonna do is let the expert tell us how we can protect ourselves in cyberspace. And this guy, I'm telling you, he's influenced the entire world. Not
Wow.
many people can stake claim to that. Are you kidding? The entire world listen to this guy?
Wow.
I hope I didn't put too much pressure on it, but we're going to find out what the secret sauce is that makes up our leader today. So I'm turning the mic. Wait a minute.
But wait, brother,
I'm turning the mic back over to you.
I want to say this because we were talking and we said that every time you have a secret, someone goes and say, "Now I got a secret. Don't you tell nobody." If they tell 10 people already know the secret.
That's right.
So I can't wait to hear what our guest has to say. How do we trust anybody in this world today? But Woody, go ahead and show our commercials, and I can't wait to get to our guests.
Thank you so much for inviting me out, girl. I've been so stressed.
Girl, you're so welcome. But listen, who did your hair?
Oh, all dolled up.
What is that?
All Dolled Up is a series of stores and salons all throughout South Florida. I get my hair silked out every month. I can do that because I'm part of the Texture Club.
Girl, well, I need to get to All Dolled Up and sign up for this texture club. You look amazing.
And cheers to that. A beautiful journey. I've always dreamed of an exciting, passion-filled career in the beauty industry. When enrolled in Cosmos School, it was amazing. After all, beauty was my thing, but I knew it was just the beginning. Next, I needed to find a salon home that was going to help me take it up a notch. aducareer.com showed me the way. Teamwork, branding development, coaching, product knowledge, and more. The apprentice training program changed my life. Find out more about the amazing possibilities.
That's the machine that defeated the machine. Hey everyone, John Kindervag, Chief Evangelist of Illumio. I'm the creator of Zero Trust. I'm here at Bletchley Park, just outside of London, where the Nazi code breaking was done. You know, the Enigma machine was defeated. If you've seen The Imitation Game, the story, it's all about the place we're at. I'm here with my good friend Raghu Namakumara, he has a lot in common, actually, with Bletchley Park and what's happening here in the code-breaking world. Because if I remember right, Alan Turing went to Cambridge, right?
He did, yes,
did?
yes.
And you went to Cambridge.
Yes, slightly less illustrious than Alan Turing, though.
Only slightly.
Only slightly.
This is a place that inspired a lot of my thinking around zero trust, oddly enough, especially the future of automation and orchestration.
All righty. Ooh, awesome. Awesome. We have you with us. Amazing. We are so privileged and honored to have you, Mr. John. Welcome, Mr. John Kindervag, with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Blow the
Appreciate it.
whistle, Woody.
There we go. I'm an honorary Hokie today here with my
Oh yeah.
Virginia Tech stuff because I did a thing with Zach a few weeks ago. So he sent me a lovely hat and a shirt, and I felt like
Okay.
this was the appropriate stage to wear it. You know.
He's officially a
Okay.
family member. You see, I
There we
got
go.
Okay.
my little maroon.
Yeah,
Representing.
that's right.
Okay. Well, welcome to Give Me the Mic, where we motivate, inspire, and cultivate our audience gifts to reach their highest potential. So, this is what we want to establish today. We want you to motivate somebody, inspire somebody, and cultivate their gifts with what your industry is in. And the way Zach talked about you, oh my God, we're going to learn so much today. I couldn't wait to meet you and to hear what you have to say about zero trust because I trust everything. I'm just hitting buttons on the computer all the time, just getting into everything. And I just want to hear what you have to say about zero trust. I'm going to let Zach steer this interview today because he knows a lot about
Yes, he
state.
does.
Yes. Can you put up my brother's book he wrote, Woody? And you can just take me out.
Well, obviously, I referenced everything, and the guy that I work with, he loves John. He quotes John all the time. Randy Marchini is the CISO for Virginia Tech, and he was excited, so excited when John accepted our invitation to come speak to Virginia Tech. Right? The Germans had a thing called the Enigma, but we had. That's why diversity is so important. We had the old talkers. They just actually talk. But John, we're gonna talk about you tonight. What did you know when you were a young man growing up, a young boy growing up in Nebraska, that you would influence and impact the entire world? How is that? That's got to be a lot of pressure. The entire world, and you just in a cornfield of Nebraska, do what you do, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I grew up. I grew up in lots of places. Um, I think you're a military vet, if I
Yeah,
remember
I
right.
am. I am.
Yeah. Well, my dad fought in the Korean War,
Wow.
and it wasn't a good experience for him. So he struggled a lot when he came back, and as a result, my childhood kept me on the move. I went to a lot of different schools, a lot of different not a lot of different places. We had a lot of different homes, and eventually I settled on my grandparents' farm in Nebraska. But I'll tell you, I knew that I didn't want to farm. I knew that I had two goals in life, Zach. I had two goals. One was to not get up at 5 in the morning to feed cattle, because when you're feeding cattle in the middle of winter in Nebraska, they
Oh,
don't know how to
amen.
get the ice out of the water trough, right? So here you are at 5 in the morning. It's completely pitch dark. You got an axe. You're a little kid, and you're chopping ice out of a water trough, and then you got to feed them and all that, and take care of them. And they don't take vacations and all that. So I knew I had to get off. I knew I had to get off the farm. And then my other goal was to just stay out of prison. So I've achieved one of my goals, and the other one I'm still working on. That's how I look at it.
Well, look, I love your official title. I know the audience gonna get a kick out of his title. You are the chief evangelical security officer. You're the chief security evangelist, man. Tell us about that.
Wow.
Tell them about that. I understand what that means, and as security people, we always preach the gospel. But
Right.
you are the chief security evangelist. Explain to them what that means to you. Or
Well, I mean that's an opportunity to tell people about a particular topic in security, and the topic that I talk about is zero trust because
Mhm.
it's a cybersecurity framework that I created 15 years ago when I was at a company called Forrester Research. And Zach's right; it has become a global movement, much to my dismay. I mean,
Well,
people told me when I first wrote the paper and first came out with the concept that I was a complete idiot and that this was never going anywhere, and it was the dumbest idea known to man.
wow,
And last week I was at a military base briefing military leaders on it. So,
Mhm.
I've gotten to go to Bletchley Park, which you saw. I got to give a similar speech at the House of Lords. I've been all over the world, all the good guy countries, right? I tell people I only go to the good guy countries, right? Because I am a patriot. And so, yeah, no, it's a tremendous thing to be blessed with all that stuff. But I mean, the reality is, it's nothing compared to having a, a great home, a great
Mhm.
family. I've been married for 39 years,
Wow.
wow,
and I've got two kids, and I've got one of them married off, and she's got a grandson for me. So
oh
he
wow,
he
congratulations!
Congratulations.
he's about to turn 7 months old, and he lives two miles from me. So
Wow, nothing,
everything's going, everything's coming up roses, as they used to say in that song. You remember, we're of this a generation where we remember those old oldies but goodies, right? Everything's coming up
right, right.
roses. Yeah.
And
Nothing
see,
like
that's the
being a
most
grandpa.
important thing of anything. And you mentioned that. If you don't have anything to have fulfillment, what's the whole point?
Right,
And see, you bring joy to people and you definitely protect people. And so, in giving all that the Lord has blessed you with, you give back, right? And I am so overwhelmed because my other sister, I don't know, Woody, if you can bring it up. She's the COO for Underwriters Laboratory, and I remember you collaborated with her
I did.
on
I
an
worked with
article.
Charlotte. I thought
Yeah,
I was going to be
Charlotte
on
Farmer.
Charlotte
She
because it
you
says you're going to be talking
collaborated
to
with
my
her
sister, and I
on
didn't
an
know you had
article
like
for
an
the Chief of
unlimited
Staff
supply
Journal.
of sisters.
Excuse me?
so you met Charlotte.
Yeah, I know Charlotte. Yeah, we collaborated on an article together, and so when he said you want to do a show with my sister, I thought he meant Charlotte because I didn't know there was an endless supply of Zach's sisters in the
I
wings.
know. It's
Okay.
8 of us. It's 8 of us.
8
So
And I
sisters.
that
How many
means
brothers?
you got at least 8 more
3 brothers.
segments, right?
Three
Wow,
brothers.
your mom must have
Zach,
been
can
so
you
tired.
hear us? Can you hear us good, Zach?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay, because I didn't think you could hear us when we were talking.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's a.
we have.
I'm an only child, so I have no concept of what it even is like to have a brother or a sister,
Wow.
right?
Oh,
Well, you know
But
now. You got eight
yeah,
sisters. You got
yeah,
two, three brothers now, right? So
there we go.
we've
There
been
we go.
right.
grafted in. But
Yep.
John, let me tell you, uh, the entire federal government was mandated by the executive order from a president to implement your zero trust architecture. Did you have to brief anybody on that? How did they go? Did they confer with you about it?
Oh no, they didn't consult with me about it. I knew it was in the works. It was in the works prior to COVID in the previous administration. This happened in the Biden administration. I knew they were talking about doing it. Of course, the government doesn't. I mean, I advise the government, but I'd been working with the government for years before that. So the first people who really understood what I was trying to do were high level members of the government. And I got to work on prototype projects that I can never talk about, right? We used to joke that the first rule of zero trust was you don't talk about zero trust, right? And so it was like Fight Club. And so, oh, there it is. There's the thing we do with Charlotte. And that was in my other house back when I had hair. I don't have hair anymore. I'm but I'm but the reason I don't have hair is because I did a presentation about risk management moving to danger management. My nephew, his middle name is Danger, so he can say my middle name is Danger, but he's a cancer survivor, and I
Oh,
was
Uh,
telling the story of risk and probabilities through the narrative of him surviving cancer,
Amen.
because
Amen.
he was given a 98% chance of dying and he
Wow.
didn't die. And my wife said, one time, well, when we found that out, we were all at, at his house, at his parents' house. And I mean, everybody's just crying when you find out your nephew is going to die, right?
Right.
Jesus. Amen.
And my wife said, "Well, God doesn't believe in probabilities."
Come
And he's,
on.
yeah, she said that, and I said, "Why do I believe in probabilities in cybersecurity?" So it led to a whole stream of research called Risk is Danger. And then
Right.
when I gave that last year, last September, I didn't tell what had happened to him until the very end, and then he came out on stage and shaved my head for cancer research.
Oh my God. Let me
Wow.
tell you something, how
That's an
powerful
awesome
that is.
story.
Because we were confronted with something similar and are facing something now. And I told my family just today, mother used to say, where there's life, there's hope. And you said your nephew had a 98%
98.
chance. So we
Yeah,
never give up because we know Jesus' blood is the remedy. Okay,
yeah,
so I like that you demonstrated to the audience that you are a man of faith and you're
That's a
not
good.
ashamed of the gospel. And we've had people like Heath Schuler. I don't know if you even know him,
oh
but
yeah, I saw you sent me the link and I watched
yeah,
that.
and he's
Yeah.
an incredible person. And I'm convinced once we have more people like you, him, us, we're going to get this thing back to where it needs to be, man. I mean, I love that story. And I'm going to be praying for your nephew that he's in total remission and he doesn't have any
Oh yeah,
issue.
he's been, they call it NED, no evidence of disease. He's been
Hallelujah.
NED for like 10 years now.
I love
So
that.
he
God
Wow.
bless
doesn't
him,
even
man.
have to go in and have checkups or anymore.
And for you to cut your hair and to make a big that's incredible. Now
Oh,
Yeah.
I
thank
love you
you.
even more. So
Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna be I promote your stuff everywhere you go.
Oh, I know you
Seriously.
do, man.
And
I know you
even at
do.
our own university, I do it. And it's not a shameless plug. I do. So if nothing else professionally, I definitely plug it to my sister, and they have influence. So that's just one great thing to be able to collaborate and corroborate on what you're actually doing. So
Right.
what is it that you want to tell the audience in terms of how you can say, well, if you want to do the things that I do, these are the things you have to do as a minimum.
I
And
love
give us
that.
a little tip, a few tips on how we can be safe on cyberspace.
Well, I mean,
Hey.
I think it's really difficult to be safe as an individual
Right.
because you have fewer controls available to you. The first thing is, for the most part, put your data in one of the major cloud providers and use a lot of their tools because
Yeah.
they have a lot more skill sets than you do. I mean, I use a number of different cloud tools. I use Google for my mail. I rarely get, as you know, a phishing attack, that kind of stuff. I store my data in a secure uh, place. My important data, financial data or whatever. I don't keep it on my laptop necessarily, and you just try to not have stuff that people want to steal that can get you in trouble. It's different in the corporate world, right? So the corporate world, the enterprise world, the anything that we would consider a business or an enterprise, including governments, they have much more difficult time, right? I mean, and human beings can get scammed out of things, but for the most part, I will tell you the credit card companies and the banks and a lot of those institutions have done a great job of trying to protect the individual.
Okay.
And no one has lost ever. No consumer has ever lost $1 from a credit card data breach, right?
Wow.
Amen.
So
Okay,
so
so
the
what we're going to do
liability
at this
is
point, we want to
it,
put up anything that you want us to promote, and the producer will be doing that in the background while you're speaking. Is there a particular paper or book you like us to feature that you've just put out? I've seen several. You just did a foreword on some things, but
I just did a forward on Josh Woodruff's book, Agentic AI and Zero Trust,
okay.
and
Woody,
I
if you
did
can grab that and we can show that while I got it. Okay.
try
Energetic
to get the
AI.
yeah, yeah, we can. So I just did the forward for that. I did the forward for both of George Finney's book, Project Zero Trust, and then Rise of the Machines, a Project Zero Trust story. So I've done those, and then I think there's just a lot of stuff out there that is good. We're both friends with Chase Cunningham, and he writes some incredible stuff. He just wrote a book called "Think Like an Attacker." Got that here? Think
Oh,
Like an Attacker. This
Oh,
is a really good one, to just make your mind go in a different direction. And so
right.
those are some of my favorites right now.
Mhm.
And I just and I think you just want to immerse yourself in the world that you're learning about,
oh,
whatever that is,
but
right?
it might appear at the inception that it's counterintuitive to learn from criminals, but that's what we did with what's the guy who created the uh, what was it? Milknick, is it?
Kevin Mitnick,
Yeah,
yeah, Kevin Mitnick, yeah. I mean, he wrote some interesting stuff about social engineering.
yeah.
Um,
And you can learn from the enemy.
yeah, well, and you have to think like the enemy. I
Right.
don't know that he
The
was
attacker.
behind. The interesting thing, he just died a couple of years ago, and he was a friend of mine. And what he did in his career is so minor compared to what's being done today.
Oh,
And he had to go to prison for it. And I think that was a pretty devastating thing for him. But there's a lot of people who have the same skill set, but they just do it for the good guy's side, the good side,
yeah,
right?
like Frank
And,
Abigail.
yeah. Well, he went to prison too, so I don't know how
Yeah,
good.
all of them go to
You're picking a lot of people who've been to prison, which is again what I'm trying to. I talked to a hacker who had been to prison, and he was telling me. I said, "Well, it looks like it turned out pretty well for you." And he said, "I'd give up everything: my wife, my kids, my career, everything, if I didn't have to go to prison."
wow.
And
Um,
so if you're a young person and you're thinking, "Oh, those hackers are cool, and I should do that," and there's a lot of ways to make money at it, that's true, but you don't want to go to prison.
Not, and that
You
was the
know,
first preface you made. You like try to keep myself out of prison.
I
And
mean,
see, I
right.
do prison ministry. A lot of people feel like there's a such thing as a campus type prison. And see, the guy that was in prison in Buckner, North Carolina, and they was like he was uh, Bernie Madoff. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
yeah, yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah, and God bless him, man. He passed away. He tried to do everything he could to make amends for his indiscretions, and he died in prison. I'll tell you this: I've been dealing with prison ministry over 30 some years. You do not, on any level, want to go to any prison, okay? But I'm telling you, John, you've been such a great addition, and you're a great American story, man. I don't care if you telling
Thank
me
you.
you came up in an austere environment. Majority of the people that's been on our podcast have been that way. Heath Schuler was raised in a place called Bryson, North Carolina, right? And here you are in Nebraska, right? And we're from Macon, Georgia, okay? And so I
Yeah,
think it's something to be said about, is there any good thing that can come out of Nazareth? I think the Lord was a pretty good thing that came out of Nazareth.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. Well, there were 36 people in my high school graduating class, so there was no real uh, anticipation that you were going to achieve great things in the town that I grew up in. So, uh, but there was also nothing holding you back, right? And I think this is the thing that people need to realize is, and I remember having a moment because what happened was, eventually my dad's PTSD got so bad
Mhm.
that my parents had to split apart, and
Mhm.
I got sent to my grandparents' home farm that had been in the family since 1871. Their grandparents had homesteaded it, but I mean, in the end, that was a blessing because I had a good um, role model in my grandfather on
Mhm.
how to be a man. And I had no one there telling me, well, you have to be a farmer. You can't go to college. You can't do this. You can't do that. And I think that that's what people need to understand is people come from all kinds of different backgrounds and they come from all kinds of different situations and nobody has a perfect situation. And I've met people who grew up incredibly wealthy and they turned out incredibly poor because
Mhm.
poor in terms of the character,
Character. Yeah.
right? Because they didn't have enough
Mm.
adversity in their life, and
Right.
adversity builds character. We
Bill's
know that,
character.
So
Right.
right?
essentially, what you're saying, no excuses, right?
No excuse.
Yeah, no, I don't think people need to have excuses. There's
No,
so much opportunity here. I go
Right.
around the world, and there's a lot of places where there aren't any opportunities. Where however you were born, that's where you're going to die. That
that's
you
a
can't
wrap. Yeah.
do
Right.
anything, right? That's not true here of anybody that I've ever met that's been successful. I've met one of my closest friends is a retired general. He was on the last uh, helicopter evacuated out of Vietnam in
Wow.
1975. He grew up in a refugee camp,
Mm.
and he rose to be a two-star Army general.
Wow.
Uh-oh. Oh.
And if you think you started off in bad circumstances, thinking about having your house blown up in the middle of a war, and then you get on the last flight out of town, and the people that didn't get out of town got imprisoned and all kinds of stuff. So it was a rough thing, but he just said no. I'm not going to take no for an answer. I'm going to make something of myself, and then I'm going to give back. Right?
And
Amen. That's the key.
it's just like you said, it was almost like the guy that was in the movie Killing Fields, right? But you made a great point when you were talking about austerity, and the Lord put in my spirit, he said, don't say that you're poor again. You just don't have as much as the other guy because somebody's always less fortunate than you. And he
That's
proved that point to me when I was in Thailand, Phuket, and all these different places in Thailand. Oh my God, total depravity. But the interesting thing about you that struck me very you majored in communications, and it's great because you're a great communicator. You're great. You target the audience. You can walk with kings and keep the common touch. Did that help
Thank
you
you.
in your evangelistic endeavors and security?
Yeah, because the engineering stuff is hard, is easy to pick up. The
Mm.
technical stuff is easy. The hard stuff is the human interaction.
Right.
The hard stuff is how to tell a story.
Hmm.
I mean, because most people, like, if say the thing that I wrote about daydream management, that would have been a very dry academic paper. But when you bookend it by the story of a 4-year-old who has cancer, and
Mm.
you end it by saying what happened to him, is he alive or is he dead? That, I mean, I had 1,500 people in an auditorium crying,
Mm.
right? And it's because I learned how to tell a story. I learned communications theory.
storytelling.
I learned where, not to bury the lead. I learned just a lot of basic things, and I learned them also at various times throughout my career. So I was very lucky. I went to Forrester Research,
Mm.
which is like an academic institution, probably more rigorous than most. Um, and we had classes in public speaking, for
Mm.
example. I learned how to speak publicly, which is a hard thing for people to do. Most people are afraid of public speaking, right? There's the old joke that the number one fear is public speaking, and the number two fear is dying. So most people would rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy, right?
Look, I was telling my sister she was preparing herself for this format, and she went to the Toastmaster. I said, "The Lord's setting you up for that because Randy was so impressed with the way you delivered the presentation for Virginia Tech, and we're still buzzing over that right now. And people, you are our most engaging cybersecurity awareness month. And we had people like Ron Ross. I don't know if you remember him.
I know, Ron.
We've
Yeah, sure.
had Neil Daswani. He's a great guy out of Stanford. But your delivery is so laid back and
I
and
wish I
easy
could
to
have been
consume. And I've talked enough, and I'm gonna turn it over to my sister because I think we'll be here for another hour. We only have a 30.
I know because he has some interesting things to
As
say.
he always talks a lot since he was a little kid.
Oh yes, he took
He,
over
he,
the household. Yes,
I'll bet he did.
Oh, it
yes.
will.
But we're at the end of the broadcast. But I want you to inspire the audience. And the part that stuck with me the most was when you said you decided to go into this industry. They thought you were crazy.
Yeah.
I want you to tell the audience what it took for you to move forward from the people that were trying to discourage you from doing what you're doing that has made you so successful?
I think you just don't listen to the doubters, right? One of my mentors said, I've never seen anything where just one person with grit achieved so much. And it wasn't like I was thinking that way. I was just like, okay, I've I've gone out, I've talked to enough people, I know this works. So when people tell me it doesn't work, I'm just not going to believe them because there's other people that I have more more respect for who are telling me this is a good idea. And so I think you need to, you know, one of my mentors told me once, if you ever become a leader, if you ever have opportunities, surround yourself with no men, no people, people who will tell you no, because the people who will tell you yes provide you no value. And
Mm-hmm.
most people look for people who will just tell them yes all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
so I always look for people who are going to push back on an idea because they're going to push that idea even farther ahead.
I love that. I love that. I hate yes men's all the time saying yes because that makes me feel like, oh, thank you so much. So, brother, do you have anything to end with? Thank you for telling us about John Kindervag. He was awesome. This was an awesome segment. Do you have anything to close
I'm
up with?
just humble. I'm humble at being so, uh, respective. I mean, it's just amazing. This man could be anywhere he
And you
wants to
with
be,
us.
anytime, and he'll get an audience before any group of people. And he's so laid back that he would come on, give me the mic, and
Thank
that to me says a lot. So he's got definitely number one fan. I don't know if I'm the 1A and his wife is one, but I'm definitely
I hope
a
my
number
wife
one
is a little
fan.
bit higher than you. I'm gonna just that's gonna be my prayer here, Zach. If you don't mind, no offense here.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much. And we're going to turn the mic back over to our audience and hope that you were motivated, you were inspired, and cultivated today from our guest, John Kindervag. Please go and research him and learn about zero trust. We all need to know. And this is our nonprofit organization hits that we have on the screen now. We ask that you would just continue to support us as we continue to make a difference in our community of those that are in need of scholarships, advocacy, anything that they need in order to reach their highest potential. So thank you so much for Zach, who is one of my number one sponsors. So thank you. I always have to give kudos to my brother because he always makes sure that Hair in the Spirit has what it needs to make a difference in the community. So thank you guys for coming, and we hope to see you next week, same time, same place. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, John.